Two things as we get into this video. One, I do not want to look at this guy's face, so I'm not going to show any highlights here. You can imagine how good he is. Y'all know how good he is. I know how good he is. And secondly, this is not the best video to make at this time because both the Canucks and the Red Wings are playing in a few hours here. My eyes are going to be glued to Montreal, Vancouver, because of course they will be. They're my two favorite teams, and I hope that Montreal whoops Vancouver's behind with a can of whoop-ass. But today I wanted to talk about a tweet posted by NHL Watcher that cites some commentary made by Elliotte Friedman on the recent 32 Thoughts podcast. Take a look at this. Friedman on 32 Thoughts said that Quinn Hughes of the Vancouver Canucks wanted to go to the Red Wings. They were one of the teams that he was very interested in. But Steve Yzerman wasn't doing that without an extension. And that's it. That's the only graphic we're going to look at. You could leave the video now if you don't want to hear me continue talking, or if you want to just watch the hockey games on. But I wanted to question Steve Yzerman a little bit here. I know earlier in the show we made a video praising Yzerman for his drafting of Simon Edvinsson and glazing the draft pick that was and how he inevitably became a top defenseman in Detroit. That's fine. But the idea that a franchise-altering defenseman was available on the trade market from Vancouver, a guy whose future with the team was never going to be long-term. He wasn't interested in staying. He wasn't interested in signing long-term, let alone finishing this season with Vancouver. He already asked out back in November. You have a franchise-altering, Norris-winning defenseman on the market who's not eligible for an extension, by the way. And Steve Yzerman is like, yeah, no, even though he wants to come to us, I don't want to get him without an extension. It's like, bro, I understand the mindset. You don't want to lose out on assets to get a guy and then have that guy walk away in free agency. But if Quinn wanted to go to Detroit, that makes it seem a lot worse. You weren't eligible to sign him to an extension until summer of 2026, first and foremost. And secondly, Quinn Hughes has another year until 2027. There's the reason why Vancouver got early on these negotiations. They didn't want to let this guy's contract expire and then have him walk away or handcuff Vancouver into making one specific trade like the Maple Leafs did with Mitch Marner earlier last year. Not only would the Detroit Red Wings have gotten Quinn Hughes for at least a season and a half, but they would have had ample opportunity to sign him this upcoming summer. And if he really wanted to go to Detroit, you probably would have been able to do that. Stevie, why, man? Ay. Look, I am complaining about this from the perspective of a Detroit Red Wings fan, because I'm facing some personal demons myself as a Canucks fan, trying to get over the loss of Quinn Hughes and the inadequacy of this general management squad that has led to Quinn Hughes' departure from Vancouver. That's done. Like, I think that part of my brain is like, shut down. The monsters are roaming free. It's like 28 years later. It's just chaos. I have accepted that those demons are never going to be put back into the little cube that they came out of. But for the Detroit Red Wings, from the perspective of a Detroit Red Wings fan, I'm kind of thinking like, man, there was a big opportunity here to get one of the best defensemen in the league. Maybe at that point, my personal feelings towards Quinn Hughes, the hockey player, would have changed. If he was a Red Wing versus a Wild, I'd have a lot of an easier time cheering for the guy still. Now, to go over the entire package as to what Vancouver could have received, I do think that Minnesota's package is comparable to what the Red Wings could have or should have offered. I mean, if you're thinking about a Marco Kasper plus a Simon Edvinsson plus a first-round pick and then another roster player that could still be in that young age range, I mean, I do like both packages. I like that Marco Kasper is a center. I like that there's some potential there. I do think that if Vancouver traded for Kasper at this stage, they would be kind of buying low. He hasn't been good this season, but of course he's still young, so there's a lot more to show for that. And then Simon Edvinsson, we just made an entire video yesterday about how he has been such a stud, a top pick from the 2021 draft, despite being taken a lot later after first. So Simon Edvinsson, I think, is a really good get. He would be very good with Phil Hronek. Just thinking about Edvinsson and Hronek together, I mean, yeah, talk about taking Red Wings defensemen from them and using them on the Vancouver Canucks. But we did note this earlier that Detroit wanted to send over Axel Sandin-Pellikka in a trade for Quinn Hughes, not Simon Edvinsson, because under the assumption that Quinn Hughes is not a long-term fit and he decides to leave, then you would be left with just Mo Seider on your blue line and Axel Sandin-Pellikka, two right-handed guys that are very different and not really much support on the left side. Yzerman wanted to at least keep Edvinsson, so in the case that Quinn Hughes leaves, you would still have Edvinsson and Seider, which I guess that makes sense, but now that we know that Quinn Hughes wanted to go to Detroit, now that we know that there was probably a chance that he re-signs with the Red Wings because it's in Michigan, he's playing with Larkin, the team is actually good, that does feel like a missed opportunity in my mind, and it does make me question more so Steve Yzerman's risk tolerance as GM of the Red Wings, and whether or not this was the right move. I mean, right move, wrong move, whatever move, if the Red Wings win the Cup this year, it doesn't really matter. I don't think anybody really cares, but that's another one of these things, right? Quinn Hughes really is the ultimate winner here, whether he goes to Minnesota or if he goes to Detroit. Both of these teams are good. Minnesota is now a top 3 team in the National Hockey League, and they're one of the best, if not the best, after acquiring Quinn Hughes. Detroit is the best team in the Atlantic at the moment, and there's a lot to like out of both of these teams. We have started to see this narrative pop up that for Quinn, it was less about playing with his brothers and more strictly just about winning. And if winning is the number one priority, then I can't name a team better than Detroit, who has gotten that winning formula down from last year to this year. Big changes, big standards that have modified and improved over the course of the past 16 to 18 months or so. This Red Wings team is in a different spot, and I'm guessing if Quinn Hughes was on the outside looking in, seeing what's going on in Michigan with fellow Americans and Larkin and DeBrincat and Patrick Kane, then there are rumors that Artemi Panarin could be heading over to the Red Wings. I mean, if I'm a superstar NHL player whose main priority is to win, I don't care about the money, I don't care about my brothers, I'm looking at Detroit and saying, yeah, that's a good team. Minnesota, there's the benefit of the doubt there because it's like, oh, they're paying Kaprizov $17 million. And, I mean, they're doing fine now. They're looking really strong. Now that I think about it, yeah, no, Quinn Hughes is like, yeah, I can play with Brock Faber. That's a really good American kid. There's a lot to like out of that as well, but ultimately, I do feel like Steve Yzerman may have missed the mark here with the reasoning behind his non-Quinn Hughes trade. The package would have been fine. I think Vancouver Canucks fans would have been happy with either package, but Zeev Buium is a get for the long haul. Edvinsson is better than Buium right now, but I do think that long-term Buium has potential to be a Norris caliber guy. Not that Edvinsson doesn't, but you know, they play different styles, and usually defensemen who are more flashy and score more points will get Norris votes, unless you're Tyson Barrie in the bubble season. That's a little bit of a different story. But anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Quinn Hughes reportedly wanting to have gone to the Detroit Red Wings, only for Yzerman to not want to do that without an extension? If this was a move that was made in the summer, do you think there would have been a higher likelihood that Yzerman gets the deal done, or would that have been waiting far too long? Let me know in the comment section all your opinions. I hope you enjoyed this British Ashral sign on, and bye.